Hey everybody, Dr. Dave here with Elevate Wellness and Chiropractic. I hope everybody is super excited for this Whole30. I know that I am. It's been a little stressful with some travel and getting things ready, but I'm excited. I'm ready to change, get back to what is my normal lifestyle, and make sure that my body is prepared for this coming year and this new decade. So, without further ado, let's get started. Tonight's going to be short and sweet, right? We're going to talk about some basics of the Whole30, a little bit of the science behind it, the who, what, where, and why, right? Again, for those who are tuning in, this will be recorded for those who log in late and want a little more information. But those who stick out our little conversation till the end will get entered into a drawing for a few cool prizes that'll help you along the way with your Whole30. All right. So who can do the Whole30? Anyone can do the Whole30. That's the beauty of this program. It is not restrictive in any sense of the word for age, gender, race, nationality, anything like that, right? If you eat food, which I hope you do, you can do the Whole30. Even kids, right? Kids sometimes can be picky eaters. This is a great program for them as well because it'll introduce them to some really great dishes that maybe they wouldn't have had the opportunity to eat if chicken nuggets were still on the menu. A great example for something that I would think is awesome as a kid is spaghetti squash, which tastes just like spaghetti noodles if it has some marinara sauce on top with some nice ground beef, a good seasoning, super tasty, right? And kids are going to eat it up. They're not going to know the difference. And that, again, that's just one example, right? We're going to have lots of different ideas throughout the course of this next 30 days that I'm going to be posting. I hope you share your favorite recipes with the Whole30 Facebook group so that we can all get a better understanding of, hey, maybe this doesn't work for me, but it works for somebody else. Thanks for those who have joined in. I see y'all popping up on my screen here. Hopefully we'll get a few more, but we'll continue on. Let's move on to what is the Whole30. So the Whole30 is a method of eating that is all about eating good food that fuels your body, right? Quality meats. Ideally, we want them to be sourced from good, healthy farms, right? We want meat and beef that's been grass-fed. We want pork products that have been raised without antibiotics. We want wild-caught, sustainably caught fish like Pacific salmon or mackerel, right? Sardines, all great sources of energy for our bodies. Healthy fats are another big one on the Whole30, right? We have oils all the time that are in our foods, but oftentimes they're not the best sources. So what we're looking for are coconut oils, right? Avocado oils. You can find these in your regular grocery store. Fred Meyer, right? Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, they've all got them. You just got to look a little harder. But that's where the main focus is going to be for the energy that our body needs over the course of the next 30 days. The last thing is, of course, vegetables, right? You should be eating your whole rainbow on your plate every single day, right? Now, for most people, that's not going to be ideal. We're not going to hit every single color of the rainbow on our plates, but that's okay. It's the goal of getting a variety of good vegetables that are going to fuel our body, give us those micronutrients that we don't get from animal products, but our body still needs for a lot of processes. Now, of course, the Whole30 is a change to our typical American diet. So what can you not have on the Whole30? Well, first and foremost is sugars. The brain is very addicted and quickly to sugars. So part of this program is going to be retraining and rewiring your brain to say, I don't need that sugar, right? I can get my fuel from other sources. And that's where the healthy fats come in, which we'll, again, talk about a little more as the program goes on. And this includes any form of sugar, right? You can't have table sugar. You can't have coconut sugar. There's no honey, no maple syrup. The goal is, again, to reset the brain to say, hey, I don't need those sweeteners, right? How else can I get good flavors in my food, right? Be careful with sugar too, because it can be hidden really easily in labels. So one of the things that I love to emphasize is read your labels. Make sure that everything you're picking up off the shelf, unless it's a piece of meat or a vegetable, is going through your label reading process, right? At some point, we'll post a picture of some different words and phrases that are used to kind of mask sugar in its many forms. So that'll come up pretty quickly here in the Facebook group, so that people have that list easily accessible. And write some of those buzzwords down, right? Anything that's packaged, you're going to probably find something on that list, okay? The next thing that we're cutting out for this Whole30 is grains, right? We are eliminating all grains completely. So no gluten, no rye, no oats, no rice or corn. Those are big ones that a lot of people have a hard time with because they're so culturally sensitive, right? Think about a lot of Asian cuisine, a lot of Hispanic or Mexican cuisine. Corn and rice, big components, right? So there are going to be some things that we can substitute. Cauliflower rice is great. Sweet potatoes, white potatoes, awesome. We already mentioned the spaghetti squash for kids. That's another great sub for those grains or noodles that we tend to want to gravitate towards as far as food goes. So yeah, grains are going to be one of the hardest components for a lot of people to get rid of. But again, we're all in this together. So if you're struggling, reach out. Somebody will be able to give you a recommendation about what's worked for them, okay? Dairy is another good one, right? We have that glass of milk with our breakfast in the morning, or we have that cheese in our burrito, or whatever the case may be. I personally love little Babel cheeses at the end of the day, or as a snack through the workday. Those are out, right? Dairy is very inflammatory, and it produces a lot of mucus, which can kind of gum up our system and make it so that we can't process those nutrients as easily, okay? So again, all dairies are out for the course of the next 30 days, okay? Now, there are some substitutions with dairy and with these other things that we're talking about, but we will get to those, okay? So don't worry if you have questions of, oh, I've heard I can have this. We'll get to that, okay? And that's a great question at the end. If you have those things of, I've heard that this works, what are your thoughts? Next thing that we are eliminating over the course of the next 30 days is legumes, beans, right? Soy is a big challenge for our bodies in general, but black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, those have some components to their structure that makes it harder for our body to absorb some of the good nutrients that are in those foods. So for those who are vegetarian or vegan, you can still do the Whole30, right? There are modifications that can be made, but it is a challenge for those sorts of individuals or those with those dietary needs to cut out those foods. If you have those kind of questions, again, feel free to ask them when we're finished with our video here. Lastly, if you have any questions, I know there's a lot of rules and things that you really have to look out for with this program, but I want you to know that Whole30.com has all the lists of foods that are and are not compliant, okay? So if you have any questions, again, reach out on the group, go to Whole30.com, figure out what is gonna work for you, okay? Now, one last thing that's very important for the Whole30. Remember I said we're trying to reset our brain. Part of that is eliminating those good foods that can still trigger that unhealthy response in the brain. What are some examples of that? Well, pancakes, right? We can make a pretty darn good pancake with some eggs, banana, a little bit of protein powder. The problem with that is the brain still thinks, I'm eating a pancake. I'm going to spike my insulin levels so that I can break down all that sugar that I'm going to be ingesting here. And that's part of what we're trying to avoid. Making sure that your brain is learning what's healthy and what's not, okay? So no cauliflower crust in your pizza, no pancakes, no paleo desserts. It's only 30 days. My birthday is going to be in the middle of this Whole30. No paleo treats. It's fine. I promise you I've done it a few times. All right. I think we're ready to move on to the when. The 30 days starts tomorrow morning, Okay? I hope over the course of this last week, week and a half, you've been prepping your pantry, getting your ingredients all set and ready to go, getting rid of all the stuff that is not going to be helpful for you over the course of this next 30 days. Okay? Habits take 60 days at least to form. So this 30 days that we're going to be embarking on is just the beginning. All right. It's not meant to be a punishment, right? If you start to say to your brain, I'm beating myself up over this, this is hard, it's going to be hard. Okay. But 30 days is not that hard. All right. And we're all here to help and support. And with that being said, why are we doing the Whole30? And this is where that level of intensity, how difficult you think this program is, this is where we find the most success. If you go into this next 30 days thinking, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, it's going to be great, I'm going to have my beach body ready for spring break or summer or whatever, you're probably not going to get very far, I'm sorry to say. But there needs to be a little more invested in this program for you mentally and emotionally, right? Why else are you doing this program besides to lose a little bit of weight, right? For me personally, I have experienced better sleep, better mood and energy. I'm not as bloated after I eat when I'm doing the Whole30. Even when I'm eating clean after doing a Whole30 and during, I feel so much better when I eat. It's like that food is really fueling me, right? So this is not just about weight loss. This is a lifestyle change. And again, this is anytime you feel like, oh, I'm going off the track here, I'm losing my focus on food, I'm just binging on whatever's in the kitchen cabinet, this is a great opportunity to reset, right? So again, the emphasis is on lifestyle and not just the weight loss. In order to keep track of these things, though, take some pictures, right? Take some body measurements. It doesn't have to be just, oh, I've lost 15 pounds, right? It could be, I'm more toned in my stomach area, right? I have a narrower chest. I have narrower thigh. Taking these measurements is going to allow you to find those non-scale victories for you. And again, there's a whole list of non-scale victories that we'll post, and maybe I already did, about what is going to work for you over the course of this next 30 days. So find that list. If I haven't posted it, I will post it at the end of this video, but make sure that you're figuring out what's going to work best for you. And with that, there's going to be ups and downs even through this good for you program. There are going to be days where you just feel sluggish. There are going to be days where you're angry with everybody because your brain is saying, I need sugar, right? It doesn't. It's just lashing out like a little kid who's having a tantrum, because that's all our brain really is. Don't let these moments of stress and tension derail you over the next 30 days, okay? This is a very challenging mental test, but it's not that hard. In the grand scheme of things, it is not that hard, okay? Next piece is going to be the reincorporation, right? What are we doing at the end of this 30 days? The challenge with many diets that I'm sure all of you have been on in the past is, oh, I do my diet for 30 days, and then I go back to my old lifestyle, and then maybe I gain the weight back, I feel sluggish really quick, I gotta jump back on that diet train again, trying to get back to where I was. This is not a diet, this is a lifestyle, okay? So the importance of this reincorporation at the end is to figure out how your body reacts to foods when it's had a chance to just settle down, okay? So we'll add in foods one by one, right? We'll start with some of the more less inflammatory foods and work our way into some of the foods that are more problematic for more people, and figure out, okay, does this cheese wheel that I'm eating at the end of my workday, does that make me have some dietary issues? Or is it the glass of milk in the morning, right? Or is it no dairy at all, but it's the grains that really make me feel sluggish and tired and angry? So we're going to figure out over the course of the next 30 days after our official Whole30 is done, what is your problem foods, right? What are the foods that make you say, yeah, I really shouldn't have eaten that? Beyond these first 30 days of the Whole30 and the 60 days of our reintroduction, that's up to you, right? Where do you take this Whole30? And that's where I would highly recommend one of the other books, which I haven't mentioned yet in any of my posts, is called Food Freedom Forever. And that's really looking at where do we take this lifestyle and how do we keep from getting into this on again, off again program of I'm on the Whole30, I'm doing really well, then I get derailed by a birthday or a company party, and all of a sudden it's no breaks. I'm just going crazy with my food choices. So that's really a great opportunity to evaluate what is your relationship with food. And that's where we see the most benefit with this program. Next up, do we have any questions from the group? Feel free to go ahead and write a comment there, and we will answer that as they come in. Well, we got some questions coming in. Let's show you real quick what our prizes are going to be for the Whole30 raffle that we're doing here. First prize is going to be some Puori probiotics. Puori is a company that I've been using for a long time. As many of you know, there are only 4 supplements that I recommend, and a probiotic was one of them, especially during the course of this Whole30, where our gut is going to be changing its structure. It's going to be reshaping. Those bacteria that are helping us digest our food are going to need a little extra help as we change what we're eating. This is going to be a great supplement for you. So our first prize for a little drawing here is going to be a pack of Puori month supply probiotic. And this can be taken before meals, beginning of the day, end of the day. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting it in, okay? The next prize is going to be a set of books. You'll get the Whole30 book, which is the more recipes and dietary guidelines for the program. But I'll also send you the It Starts With Food book, which is going to be the science behind the Whole30 and why we're cutting out all these things and what's happening in the brain as we're going through this program, right? And then the last prize is going to be a little snack pack of my favorite Whole30 snacks, right? We got some RX bars in here. We've got some approved nut butters. We've got some seaweed, some beef sticks, a little water drink back here, some pistachios, which I really love, all to kind of stock your desk drawers and help with those days when it's like, oh man, I need something just to get me through this next couple hours. So those are the prizes for you guys. And if you're not here in Oregon, I can't have you stop by the clinic to get them. I'll figure out a way to get those prize packs to you. So if you win, we'll figure that out when the time comes. First question here is favorite toppings or sauces. Toppings and sauces are something that's really going to provide a lot of variety to your food because we're cutting out a lot of our common flavorings, and that's where we're going to have the struggles of boredom with our food. For me, I'm a fan of simple olive oil and balsamic vinegar, right? I like things spicy, so I'll add a little bit of cayenne or paprika. Herbs are great, whether they're fresh or dried, just to add some more flavor. The other thing that a lot of people forget about is just simply salt, right? Most of the foods that we eat in our daily living have way too much salt, so our brain loses that ability to taste what salt should be like and how it should flavor our food. So as you go through this program, you'll probably notice that food just doesn't taste as good. Try adding some salt and see what happens. As far as sauces, you can find in Whole Foods, I know Nom Nom Paleo, maybe you've heard of her before, but she has several sauces that are Whole30 approved that you can find in Whole Foods. I have one right now that is a sriracha type of sauce, which I'm a big fan of, so I'm definitely going to be adding that to my hard-boiled eggs or my frittata in the morning. My first Whole30 was probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was just towards the end of chiropractic school. And it was a group of us who decided, well, let's clean up our diet before graduation, before we get out in the community. And it was a challenge, to say the least. I don't think I completed the Whole30 at that point because my goal was more the weight loss side of things, right? I was feeling a little chunky from having been through chiropractic school and not having worked out as much as I probably should have. So my only goal was weight loss. Didn't work very well. I think I made it maybe half of the Whole30, and I binged on something, right? I don't remember what it was. It was a long time ago. But the point being, that was my first experience. So I failed at this too, right? If you've tried this before and it just hasn't worked for you, don't worry about it. This is a new journey. This is a new adventure of how are you going to respond to this Whole30, right? I've probably done the Whole30 maybe 6 or 7 times. My first experience, again, was a failure in some extent, but I was able to learn a little more about me and what I needed in the program. But at some point I actually did a Whole60 because I was just on a roll and I felt so good. I decided to go 60 days of eating in this lifestyle. So there's no end. You could do a 60, you could do 180, whatever you need to finally feel like you have created what you need in your life. If there are no other questions, does anybody have any questions? I can't see who's typing. Thanks, Cass, for those couple of questions. I see Grace and Stacy and Sadie on here. I think that's who we've got. Another good question. Is it possible to eat out while doing a Whole30? Absolutely. Having been in the restaurant world while I was in chiropractic school, I kind of know the ins and outs of a menu, and you can most definitely ask, hey, can I get just a plain old grilled chicken breast or a piece of steak and some sauteed vegetables in a restaurant would probably have just a basic oil or even just steamed vegetables with a little salt and pepper. Super easy, right? It doesn't have to be that you're only eating at home for the next 30 days. There are ways that you can find menu items that are Whole30 acceptable. But when in doubt, just ask your servers, right? And if they don't know, they're going to go ask the kitchen, okay? So there is no problem at all being a social butterfly over the course of this 30 days. But that does bring up another good point of alcohol. And that can sometimes be a challenge when we are out in social settings of maybe whomever you're with is getting a glass of wine or a cocktail, something simple as a club soda with a lime. It looks like a drink, you still feel fancy, works perfectly fine, right? So with that, if we don't have any other questions, it doesn't look like anyone's typing. So let's go ahead and do our little drawing. So for the probiotics, the winner of the probiotics is Sadie. Congratulations, Sadie. I will make sure to get those to you. Next up, we've got the books. We've got the Whole30 and the It Starts With Food book. And that's going to be Megan. So I will again get those to you. And that way you can start reading and get a little more information about the Whole30. And last but not least is our snack pack, which I'm pretty excited about. I wish my name was in this drawing. Grace gets the snack pack. All right, so we will get those goodies out to everybody who is here on our live video. One last thing before we sign off here. Again, this program sounds hard, but I promise you that everyone on this video and everyone in this group can do this 30 days. Okay? And I'm really interested to hear how everyone's results turn out, right? Remember, this is a Facebook community, right? And I'm here to support you everyone else in this group is going to be here to support you. Feel free to ask questions either on the group or in the office when you see me or any of the other staff. And I just want to say, finally, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for starting this new decade off with me, and I'm ready to rock it with you guys. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in.